so they see a sign of encouragement. On that pole, on that banner, on that sign, is strength for the journey ahead. Strength for the wilderness of this world. Strength for the pilgrimage of this life. All in the one who was lifted up on a pole for our sake. It's already a done deal so far as I'm concerned. As soon as I saw you baptized, you've been seated in the heavenly places. You've been raised up with me. You have already conquered. Hello there, folks, and welcome to Christ in Every Word, a podcast of the Concordia Bible Institute housed on the beautiful campus of Concordia University, Wisconsin. This is your opportunity to read, mark, learn, and inwardly digest the sacred scriptures with me, Dr. Brian Gurman, Associate Professor of Theology here at the University and the Director of the Concordia Bible Institute. We're cruising along in the book of Numbers on the docket today, chapter 21, one of the most popular chapters in the entire book of Numbers, so hang tight. This is going to take a little while. The first things first, though, and that is a word of gratitude for my dear colleague here at the university, Sandra Johns, teaches in the communications department. Sandra, thanks so much for your recent donation. I'm very touched by that. Sandra heard of the need to keep things going here, and she stepped up. And so, Sandra, this podcast is dedicated to you. We're going to keep pressing along here at CBI. One thing that's kind of fun is a new YouTube channel or revamped YouTube channel. You can see that on our homepage. So subscribers are coming in and videos are going out and we're YouTubing, I guess. So there you go. So check that newly revamped YouTube page out whenever you can. Numbers 21, what did we do last time? You'll remember the death of Aaron the high priest. So the big thing about the death of Aaron the high priest is that he was stripped of his clothing and he opened not his mouth. And the death of the high priest changes everything. Okay, so this is big. The death of the high priest changes everything. You'll remember in chapter 20, Edom refuses passage, and we have grumbling, and we have all sorts of things. After the death of Aaron in chapter 20, 21 starts with, the Israelites are cruising. The Canaanite, the king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming by the way of Atharim. He fought against Israel and took some of them captive. Well, what's going to happen? Israel vows a vow to the Lord and says, if you will indeed give this people into my hand, then I will devote their cities to destruction. And the Lord heeded the voice of Israel and gave over the Canaanites, and they devoted them and their cities to destruction. So the name of that place was called Hormah, which means destruction in Hebrew. So you see what happens. Israel is changed. The death of the high priest, Aaron, stripped of his clothing, he opened not his mouth, he dies, and what happens? The people are victorious. The people are changed. The people have a renewed confidence for the journey ahead. Does this sound familiar? The people are even vowing. That's liturgical talk, that's temple talk, to vow a vow. And it's like the whole story of Israel in a nutshell. What happens? They are in the wilderness. Some of those people are even taken captive. And then what happens? They vow a vow and they are victorious. Now, broaden out a little bit the history of Israel, and then it's, okay, they're in the wilderness wandering around, and okay, they are a marginalized people throughout their history. Okay, they suffer captivity. Okay, so Assyria, Babylon, Persia, we have instances of foreign powers causing problems. Okay, and then what? Clinging to the things of the Lord, there is victory. That is not just the story of Arad being destroyed, first 3 verses of Numbers 21. That is the story of the Christian life. The death of the high priest who was stripped of his garments and opened not his mouth and died for the sake of the people gives the people renewed confidence for the journey ahead, gives the people another sense of courage for whatever it is that they're facing. So they go to the house of the Lord. They vow vows to the Lord. They cling to the things of the Lord, and they are made new, and they will be victorious. Whatever it is that is in the wilderness, whatever it is that the people are suffering, they go to the house of the Lord, they cling to the things of the Lord, they are victorious. They will overcome, they will conquer. This is just a beautiful little entry into the Christian life, and we're going to see this later on in the chapter of 21. We're going to have this where Og is defeated, and Bashan, Sion, and Og are defeated. That's exactly what happens in the bigger picture of the Christian life. When the death of the high priest happens and the things of the Lord are clinged to, whatever kind of captivity happens, whatever kind of wilderness happens, you will be victorious. So that's the overarching, I don't want you to miss that. That's the message of chapter 21. Now, it just so happens in chapter 21 that you have the bronze serpent incident, which this is worth several hours, so buckle in. But the bronze serpent happens, it's like, it's the seventh and final rebellion in the book of Numbers. So in Numbers, you have 7 total rebellions, which is exactly the story of God's people also. Because we're always rebelling, we're also grumbling throughout whatever it is that the Lord brings us through. And there's something about this 7th one that is, so 7 total because this is just the reality, sinner and saint. And so on the grumbling side of things, this is just an ongoing, but this is the 7th. And have you ever thought about this? I suppose many people have heard of this bronze serpent stuff before, but I don't know that we always think of it as like the 7th rebellion in the book of Numbers, the last one, the culminating one. Now it's kind of starting to take on a whole new, why is this the most popular one? Well, it's the 7th one. There's something that's climactic about this. There's something that comes to a fitting climax about this, a culmination of sorts for this last rebellion. So let's read it first. And hear this out. From Mount Hor they set out by way of the Red Sea to go around the land of Edom. And the people became impatient on the way. And the people spoke against God and against Moses, "Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and no water, and we loathe this worthless food." Then the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, so that many people of Israel died. And the people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that he will take away the serpents from us." So Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord said to Moses, "Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten when he sees it shall live." So Moses made a bronze serpent and set it on a pole, and if a serpent bit anyone, he would look at the bronze serpent and live. Now this is just remarkable. So first thing is first, as I always say, Mount Hor, they set out by way to the Red Sea to go around the land of Edom. In chapter 14, we've already had an attempt to go straight up into the Promised Land. The spies went in there, but they were unfaithful, and the Lord sent a plague, and that was disastrous. And then after that plague, the people tried to go on their own accord, didn't work. And then we had Edom refusing passage. Well, the people, they did change of heart, some change of heart, didn't they? Were willing to give up things for the sake of this journey, so we talked about that. But then here, that's totally different. We're going to go around, and we're going to do this, and we're going to be victorious. But literally, the soul of the people became short along the way. Now, it is the 7th total rebellion, but there's something about that language that's pretty unique in this last and total rebellion. It is as if we are being told, whatever the case, whatever the rebellion, the soul is becoming short. He restores my soul. In Psalm 23, there's something about the soul becoming short that is a good succinct summary of all the rebellions. That whatever it is that, okay, so it's food or it's drink or it's you're growing impatient, the soul is losing patience, the soul is dwindling, the soul is, that word in Hebrew is also for reaping, so cutting short the crop. The soul is being cut short, the soul is dwindling, the soul is weakening, the soul is becoming restless. Whatever it is in your life, the soul takes a hit, and that's what's happening here. And so they speak, "Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There's no food, no water. We loathe this worthless food." When the soul becomes short, when the soul becomes beaten back, when the soul is restless, it starts to look at the things of the Lord as no longer sufficient. I'm going through this tough time, and the Lord is just giving me the same old stuff. He's giving me His Word and His sacrament. Is it really doing anything in my life? I'm looking at my life. I have Sunday morning, and then I go back to Monday, and it's the same stuff. It's the same pain. It's the same family drama. It's the same suffering. It's the same loneliness. And I start to look at that stuff through the lens of that shortened soul, and I think the Lord's stuff is no good anymore. There's no food here, there's no water here, and whatever He is giving me is basically worthless. Do you see how this 7th rebellion is the culmination of all rebellions? And into the midst of that, we have one of the most beautiful healings of all time, and that's the bronze serpent. So here we have fiery serpents. Okay, so lots to say about serpent. Literally, it's seraph. Some of you have heard seraphim. Hey, seraphim, cherubim, sounds angelic. Isaiah in chapter 6 sees six-winged seraphim. Seraphs are fiery serpents. Now, this is really intriguing because seraph can be fiery, like angelic fiery creatures, which they are in Isaiah and other places. At the same time, seraph is a fiery, here it's literally Nahash, serpent, and seraph, fiery serpent. Now, why a serpent? You can dig into ancient Near Eastern cultures and see all sorts of magical powers tied to the serpent and all these sorts of things. That's all fine as so far as it goes, but I am very interested in the fact that we've had a serpent before. Of course, in the Garden of Eden, most foundationally, we've had a serpent. And when you see the serpent, this is also the serpent, so think about the serpents in Egypt, staff turning into a serpent swallowing up another serpent. The people whose soul has become short, it affects how you see the things of the Lord. It also makes you turn back on the way of death. So the way of life, the way of death, those are your only two options. The soul becomes short, and it wants to turn or is inclined toward the path of death when it becomes short. So we long for Egypt. We long for the serpent again. Egypt is the serpent. The serpent is the realm of death. The serpent is evil. The serpent is exactly what these people are doing. They're participating in serpentine stuff. Now, what then is the solution? We have sinned. We've spoken against the Lord. Pray to us. He would take away the serpents from us. Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole. This word for pole is also like sign or banner elsewhere. The root of David. Oh boy. The root of Jesse, I should say. David, the root of David, promised in Isaiah 11, will be a sign for the people. He'll be a banner. The Lord is my banner, we hear in Isaiah. And it's that root of Jesse who will be that banner, who will be that sign, who will be that pole. He himself is the pole, the one to come. Okay? So that's that. Also, put a fiery serpent on there. Why not put an angel on there? Or why not put, some sort of Daisy's Kittens kind of picture on that pole? He puts a fiery serpent on the pole, and everyone who is bitten when he sees it shall live. Now, this should all sound familiar. Luther will talk about Jesus being the worst thief, the biggest adulterer, the most horrible criminal that the world has ever seen on the cross. He himself was made to be sin who had no sin. He embodies it. He takes it all on. At the baptism, he's like a sponge. He gets in there. You don't need to be baptized. You don't need any sin washed away. And yet he steps into that river like a sponge, soaking up all that uncleanness and saying, I'll take it, and I'll go nail it to the cross. So Jesus embodies that evil, that wickedness, that sinfulness of yours, of mine, on the cross. Let's push this a little bit farther. When the people see, they have to look. They have to look at the pole. They have to look at the serpent. When they see the serpent, what do they see? They see the serpent. Nicely done. Our job is over. No, it's not. They see the serpent. They see their own sin. They see their selfishness. They see their inclination toward the way of death. They see their soul being shortened, and they see their sin that follows from that. They see the temptations that they give into when that happens. That's what they see. They see themselves longing for death. They see death. And yet, what do they see? They see their healing. They see their stuff being embodied by something else, by someone else. They see all the stuff that they used to be. They see all the stuff that they are being nailed, being expiated, being poured out, being taken, being assumed, being appropriated. They see all that stuff being placed on another, transferring over to someone else who's taking all of the wrath for it. They see their healing. They see their Savior. When they look at that serpent, they see their sin. They see their Savior. They also see cross for the journey ahead. They see the fact that moving forward, they will be tempted. Moving forward, the soul will be shortened again. Moving forward, they will have afflictions. They see the serpentine character of life. And yet, it's that same bronze serpent who has said, "Take up your serpents and follow me." And so they see a sign of encouragement. On that pole, on that banner, on that sign is strength for the journey ahead, strength for the wilderness of this world, strength for the pilgrimage of this life, all in the one who was lifted up on a pole for our sake. It's great stuff. It's a lot of fun. Bronze serpent. Oh, man. Lots more to say, but hey, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
What's so special about Concordia University? Not just its beautiful campus on the shores of Lake Michigan or its small class sizes and high job placement rates, but its strong Lutheran identity. What does this mean? It means that above all else, Concordia is Christ-centered. The university's mission statement puts it this way: Concordia University, Wisconsin is a Lutheran higher education community committed to helping students develop in mind, body, and spirit for service to Christ in the church and the world. This is what drives Concordia's world-class faculty, staff, and students day in and day out. In every school, every program, and every initiative, Concordia is a learning community that sits right at the junction of knowledge and Christian faith.
Alrighty there, folks. We're back with our study of Numbers chapter 21. We just took a look at the bronze serpent. Jesus himself would use this. I probably should have mentioned this, right? In John 3, verse 14, Jesus referenced this event very clearly. This is Nicodemus by night, by the way. John 3, unless you're born again, what am I supposed to do? Enter my mother's womb a second time, be born again? This doesn't make any sense. That which is born of the flesh is flesh. That was born of spirit. So that kind of talk. And then, for God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten son is in the same place. Right before that punchline verse, that poster board verse, I guess, you'll see at football games or whatever. John 3:14, as Moses lifted up the bronze serpent, so also must the Son of Man be lifted up, so that everyone who looks upon him will live. Now, that's explicitly saying that in these Old Testament events, the people, the institutions, the sacrifices, all this stuff, and what I love about that, and why I'm an Old Testament scholar, is that the Old Testament continues to bear a discrete, a unique voice, a unique witness, a unique testimony to the person and work of Christ. After his life, death, and resurrection, after he has fulfilled all this, we can go back to that and say, I know where this is headed. And at the same time, I can see in this a fresh refraction of the light of the world when I look at Numbers 21. Yes, he will be lifted up, and I can read about that in the Passion narrative. But when I read Numbers 21, it's, the serpents, the biting, the healing, the living in a whole fresh, unique way. After 21, so we have also following some more conquest, which is a lot of fun because I won't get into it all, but chapter 20 and 21 have a lot of similar like vocabulary and themes together. And I think for one reason, it's for contrast. Edom refused passage, and the people were passive, and they just had to bear with it. That's fine. At the same time, we also have time to kick some bum. And both are true. So after the bronze serpent, and I love the focus here, the focus is on the song of the well. So after the serpent, we'll get more wilderness journey like we have, as we just talked about. You see the serpent, you see your sin, you see your healing. You also see crosses to bear for the journey ahead. That's why you need a crucifix in every room at the seminary. That's why you need a crucifix in every room at a Lutheran institution of higher learning, because that needs to be central for seeing your sin, law, seeing your healing, gospel, and seeing the cross ahead, and that is Anfechtung, theology of the cross. Okay, right after that, journey talk. They set out here, they went there. They set out here, they went there. Some of the detail, where exactly are they camping, the scholars still debate. And I don't know how much rides on it. I think the bigger points is just tracking, okay, when was this mountain mentioned last time, and what a contrast. Because last time they were at Mount Hor, they were rebellious. Here they're out at Mount Hor, and they're doing fine. What has happened? Oh, death of the high priest. The bronze serpent being lifted up. And then here, as you go in here to this next portion, what's the whole focus? The well. The whole focus is the well. They carried on. They went to Be'er, which means well. So Beer is not beer, although it is beer, but it's not beer. It's Be'er, which means well in Hebrew. The well of which the Lord said to Moses, gather the people together so that I may give them water. Then Israel sang the song, spring up, O well, sing to it, the well that the princes made, that the nobles of the people dug, with the scepter and with their staffs. I just love how what's central in this whole thing, even the ESV puts a subtitle, the Song of the Well. For all that wilderness journey, for all that time, for all that stuff, the well is central. That is exactly the whole point. That is exactly the Christian life. We've had the death of the high priest. He was stripped. He opened not his mouth. We have the bronze serpent being lifted up. Okay, you see your sin, you see your healing, you see the crosses. What's central for the journey ahead? Those things plus, hey, the water. Keep returning to the water. That's how you're baptized into the bronze serpent. That's how the high priest will wash you and refresh you and restore you, as in restore that soul that becomes so shortened on the journey ahead. Spring up, O well, sing to it, the well that the princes... This is God's own child, I gladly say it, before it was cool. Numbers 21, spring up, O well, sing to it, is a baptismal hymn. And I love how much attention it gets. The well that the princes made, the well, how was it made? And what does it do? And what's the fitting response for it? Isn't that great? How was this water established? What is it doing right now? And what's our proper response to it? That is the most baptismal stuff I've ever seen. This water was instituted by Christ himself. Not simple water only, but water connected with his word and combined with his promise. Okay, so how is this water coming about? What does it do? Daily a new man comes forth who lives before God in righteousness and purity forever. Well then, how then shall we respond? How then shall we live? For all which it is my duty to thank and praise, serve and obey him. This is most certainly true. Let's get after it. God's own child, I gladly say it. I've been baptized in that well too. So let's get after it. Let's go. That's the song of the well. And then what happens afterwards? Defeat of whatever the Lord in baptism has already defeated for you, whatever it is that is in front of you. Og, king of Bashan, and Sihon, king of the Amorites. These two kings in the rest of chapter 21, let us pass through your land. We'll not turn aside into field or vineyard. The people, they're baptized, and they realize, like in chapter 20, we're able to give up anything for the sake of the wilderness. We talked about that in the podcast for chapter 20. We'll give up whatever we need to give up for the sake of this journey. Okay, that's great. And yet, in Edom's case, in chapter 20, it was, we're going to have to just go around. We're going to have to bear with this. We're going to have to suffer it. And that's okay. It's for the sake of the journey. Here in chapter 21, it's, you know what? Sihon's not allowing them to pass. They come out and fight. And guess what? Israel defeats them. They took possession of his land. They totally conquered it. And there's songs about that. The ballad singers are singing about it. What happens with Og? So they're in Og. They sent to spy out the land. This is already, oh boy. Last time we spied, we lost heart. It didn't go well. God sent a plague. A lot of people died. Oh boy. They spy it out, and it's, oh boy, they're coming after against us. The Lord says, before you even get into this, hey, don't fear. Don't fear. I've given him into your hand, all of his people, all of his stuff. You'll do to him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived it. It'll be totally fine. I already guarantee you the victory. I can already see it. It's already done. It's already conquered. And so they defeated him, the sons of all his people. They had no survivor left. They possessed his land. Done deal. It was over. The Lord, who is Lord of time, looks at that big picture and says, you're already raised up with me in baptism in Christ. It's already a done deal. You're already victorious. So go ahead. There are times, yes, passive suffering because of whatever the block in the road is. There's a place for the Christian to bear with it. And yet at the same time, sometimes you're doing what you're doing and the fight comes after you. And the Lord says, have no fear. The ones who are with you are greater than he who is in the world, and you will be victorious. And with Sihon, they totally were. And with Og, it's like before it even happens, let me tell you that Sihon and Og are like, that's a paradigm for the Christian life. That hang around the well, hang around the baptism, and you will be victorious anytime anybody comes after you, like Sihon did. And then, by the way, before Og even comes after you, let me tell you that any Og who would do that, as it happened to Sihon, you will be victorious. They will be defeated. It's already a done deal so far as I'm concerned. As soon as I saw you baptized, you've been seated in the heavenly places. You've been raised up with me. You have already conquered. With that, go live life. It'll be okay. God's own child, I gladly say it, I am baptized into Christ. And so that's, anytime you see Og, and that's why in the Psalms, these Og and Bashan, oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. To the God who rescued us from Egypt, for his steadfast love endures forever. Read through Psalm 136. Because of Sihon, king of the Amorites, for a steadfast love endures forever, and Og, king of Bashan, for a steadfast love endures forever. It wasn't just two random battles. It was two battles that showed us the victory of the baptized for all of life. That's why Sihon and Og are such a big deal. In those two battles is a kind of paradigm for the whole story of Christianity, for the whole story of the baptized. That's what makes it so cool. I think we're going to call it there. Numbers chapter 21. The next few chapters gets into Balak and Balaam. A lot of fun there too. Classic stuff. Donkeys talking? What in the what? Stay tuned. We'll pick it up there next time. Hey, the mission of the Concordia Bible Institute is to provide Christ-centered Bible instruction from distinguished experts who teach Christ in every word of the Old and New Testaments to strengthen faith and spread belief in the one true God. If you benefit from this podcast series, as always, I have you consider supporting the Bible Institute. And as I mentioned last time, all kinds of shifts in higher ed, all kinds of changes happening. Bible Institute has cruised along by way of its donors, its contributors. I'm so touched by all of that. Thank you for that. We depend on it to keep rolling too. So if you're so inclined, I encourage you to consider supporting the Bible Institute with a fresh go of it here so that we can keep moving forward. Thanks so much. God's blessings. We'll see you next time.